Hello everyone, welcome back to Cars and Kelley. Now, like I said at the beginning of this channel, I'll be doing videos documenting any sort of progress I make with upgrades, modifications, changes to this car. So I just recently installed a new intake kit that I'm going to be reviewing today, and also a front lip on my car. Actually, just go over that briefly first, because it's not much of a review. A little while ago, I actually had a little bit of an accident. I skidded the car. Took a turn too fast, completely my fault, and the front lip of the OEM front lip of the car got broken and scratched up. Looked really awful, and this is just a cosmetic part, so there was no rush to fix it, but I did want to restore the look and get it. I really like the look of these lower front lips. They don't do anything for performance really, but I think they add a lot to the look, the aggressive stance of the car. So I got this this black front lip right here. It's just a kind of like a plastic front lip that goes all the way around the bottom of the front of the car. Not the OEM one, because those are expensive, and OEM stuff is always more expensive than aftermarket. So this I actually just got on eBay, and it's just some third-party brand, but actually looks really good. I think it looks a little different than the one I had before. It doesn't have those little slots right here under the fog lights, but I think it looks really good, and for the price it was like 130 bucks. It actually looks pretty good. Now onto the intake, which is obviously the much more exciting modification. This right here is a Canon Typhoon air intake. I got it in the polished red look instead of the chrome one, or the silver look. So it replaced this whole stock air intake, the rubber tube right here, as well as the air box with the regular panel air filter with this big cone air filter. So it was actually pretty easy to install. Just had to take it off from here, over here, a couple little hoses and electrical plugs into the air box, unscrewing some of the old parts. Pretty easy install, I'd say under an hour. You just have to have some basic tools and a little bit of time on your hands, and it's really not that bad. So definitely one of the initial benefits is just the way it looks. It looks really cool under the engine. Obviously your engine hood is not going to be up all of the time, but when you do, it just adds a little bit of shine and kind of pizzazz to your engine that the stock one doesn't normally have. Not sure if you didn't hear it on the camera, but you can hear a distinct kind of air whooshing sound under the hood as that car's running, and you hear it for a second when you turn the car off as well. So definitely hear kind of more of a sucking of air sound from that new air filter. So when you're driving, you definitely do notice the difference from the new intake, but mostly, to be honest, in terms of sound. Maybe the throttle response, because of that sound, feels like it's tightened a little bit, so you get a little bit more kind of control and response over the engine. But primarily it's for that noise, honestly, and that's why people are generally buying these intake kits, is for the look and the noise and the flash of them. So because on such a small engine, this 1.8 liter 4-cylinder with a little over 100 horsepower, putting a high flow air intake is not going to do the biggest difference in the world compared to on a larger engine that can suck more air. And then when you are driving around, like I am right now, just from normal situations, you don't actually notice the sound difference that much. You only notice when you do a harder acceleration. Like this. It just has a lot more of a growl with that intake noise. All the way from 2,000 or 3,000 RPM actually. If you just floor it, you get a lot of great noise. At wide open throttle and the high RPMs, this thing is really loud. Granted, I do have a muffler on here as well, a different exhaust. Not the whole exhaust system, but that might also be contributing to some of the volume and the sound. What's really great is it's not overpowering if you're just driving around normally. It doesn't take over the experience or make it unusable when you're just driving on the freeway. There's no drone, there's no annoying, raspy kind of idle. The idle sounds pretty much the same, and you only hear the intake noise when you get on the throttle. But, it's a really nice compromise between something really obnoxious and just stock.
So
So, it's actually been a few weeks here now since the rest of that video you just saw. I just wanted to conclude this video a few weeks after I installed it to give some final thoughts after driving around for a while. Overall, I say I'm really impressed with this intake. You really have to know what you're getting into when you buy something like this and not set the expectations too high. And I definitely think there's a certain audience for a product like this and a certain audience that really it doesn't matter to, something like this. So you really have to know where you stand before you buy something like this. And what I mean by that is if you're really looking for performance modifications to really enhance the way your car drives and, you know, set faster lap times, more acceleration, pull more G-force when you're handling, this is not one of those modifications. This is kind of a highly debated topic in the Miata world, you know, the functionality, the purpose, the necessity of an intake kit on a Miata. And the reason being, this is such a small engine, the performance gains from something like this are very minimal. And if you're really looking for true power gains, you know, a lot more power, a lot more torque, a lot faster acceleration, this is not the place to go. And I think that's pretty much known by anyone getting something like this. Even an exhaust system, you know, there's only so much you can do to a naturally aspirated 1.8 liter engine to get power increases. And so the big places to go are turbocharging, supercharging, building the motor, stuff like that, if you really want more power gains. So with that being said, I still think this is a great product for a lot of performance Miata owners. If you just want to add a lot to the experience, not necessarily with tangible speed increases, but the experience overall, it feels a lot more exhilarating, especially with the top down, you know, flooring it. It really, it growls, it howls, it feels faster just because of that engine noise, and you really feel a lot more engaged with what's going on. So while the tangible increase is not that much, I think it's definitely worthwhile for the experience that it adds. I maybe did mine a little out of order in terms of upgrades. You know, I haven't addressed some bigger issues on this car like suspension or wheels and tires, so this was maybe a little out of order for me. I would recommend on other owners, other cars, this should not be a priority modification. You know, it's fun and it sounds great, but it's not the most important thing to do to your car for sure. Anyways, in conclusion, I think if you know what you're signing up for, if you want to make your car feel a little more sporty, feel a little more involved, but know that you're not actually getting that much more performance, I think this is a great product. Definitely worthwhile. There are different intakes, other brands make them, they're all pretty similar. I got the Canon one, but I'm sure other ones would be just fine as well. It's about $200 on average. I think it's definitely worthwhile. And as always, this has been Cars and Kelley. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you next video.